The place we were heading in Eastern Europe had no name on modern maps, though old Slavic legends called it Zabita Dolina, the Forgotten Valley. Reports from the area spoke of strange lights in the sky, twisted animals, and people vanishing without a trace. The locals whispered of ancient things that stirred beneath the earth. I didn't know how much of it I believed, but the descriptions from the few survivors sounded less like hallucinations and more like glimpses of something unnatural. There were 3 of us heading into that abyss of forest and ruin. My friend Dmitri, who grew up in this country and knew the land well. His girlfriend Anna, an independent filmmaker determined to capture the unknown. And myself, a skeptic with a stomach prone to nausea and a mind unwilling to accept folklore. The first stretch of our journey felt almost mundane. The villages we passed through were quaint, surrounded by fertile fields and isolated farmhouses with chickens pecking at the dirt. But as we moved deeper, civilization began to decay around us. Houses stood abandoned, their wooden frames blackened as if they had been scorched by an unseen fire. The trees loomed taller, their gnarled roots breaking through the cracked roads. And then the silence began. I don't mean the absence of human voices. I mean absolute, smothering silence. No birdsong, no wind rustling through the trees. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. "Christ," I muttered, gripping the steering wheel. "This place feels like it died a long time ago." Dmitri nodded grimly. "Some places are better left forgotten." Anna remained quiet, her dark blue eyes scanning the trees, the camera in her lap forgotten. It was then that I saw movement, white eyes skittering between the trees, too low to the ground to be human. I shook my head, dismissing it as a trick of the light. "How much further?" I asked, swallowing against the nausea creeping up my throat. "Couple more hours," Dmitri answered. "Then we walk." We left before dawn, and now the first light of morning crept over the rolling hills, painting the sky in hues of rust and crimson. The land felt wrong, like a wound that had never fully healed. Then Dmitri hit the brakes. I jolted forward, my stomach lurching. What the hell? We all stared at the thing lying across the road. It had the shape of a bear, but it was not a bear. Its body was twisted, flesh mottled with patches of raw, quivering skin. It had too many limbs, 4 paws on each leg, each ending in fingers that flexed unnaturally. A glistening, translucent arm protruded from its chest, twitching as if still searching for something to hold. "Holy shit," Anna whispered, raising her camera. "This is real." Dmitri stepped out first, mesmerized. The old stories, they weren't just stories. As Anna zoomed in, the bear thing blinked. I barely had time to shout before it moved. A sickening crack echoed as its head twisted toward us, its slack jaw revealing layers of needle-thin teeth. It shrieked, a sound that was neither growl nor roar, but something utterly alien. And then something else burst from the trees. A figure, tall, skin too pale, bloated like something left to rot in the sun. Its head was elongated, stretched beyond human proportions, with empty black pits where eyes should have been. It moved on all 4s, but its fingers dragged through the dirt like it was feeling for something unseen. It lunged for Anna. Dmitri grabbed her, pulling her back, but the creature was too fast. Its clawed hand wrapped around her throat, lifting her effortlessly as she kicked and screamed. I saw its mouth widen, an abyss of spiraling teeth that opened into the void. Then, with inhuman speed, it turned and disappeared into the blackened forest, dragging Anna with it. Dmitri shouted in fury, struggling to stand as the bear thing, now fully risen, turned its many eyes toward us. But instead of attacking, it followed the creature into the woods, as if obeying something far greater than itself. We had no way to call for help. Our phones had lost signal miles ago. There were no towns, no police, no one who would dare enter this place for us. We were on our own. Dimitri's face was pale as he rummaged through the trunk. "We don't have enough. A knife, bear mace. What good is this? It's better than nothing." I handed him the tire iron and took the knife, though I doubted either would do much against things that should not exist. "We're going after her," Dimitri said, his voice final. I saw something dark in his eyes, the shadow of a boy who had once been kidnapped, locked in a hole, and left to rot. I couldn't argue with that. The broken branches and trampled underbrush led us deeper into the hollow land. We emerged into a clearing, and my breath caught in my throat. It was not a barn, not a house. It was alive. The structure was massive, built from blackened, pulsating flesh. A single eye, red and swollen like an infected wound, sat atop it, rolling erratically in its socket, scanning the landscape. From the seams of its walls, a wet, rhythmic breathing filled the air. I heard something whisper inside my skull. "Welcome." The wind carried something worse. Cries. Human cries. Dimitri ran ahead before I could stop him, disappearing inside the gaping entrance. I hesitated. Something about this place, something about it knew us. It wasn't just a lair, it was a mouth, and we had walked willingly onto its tongue. But I couldn't leave him alone. The darkness within the living structure was absolute. The walls, if they could be called that, pulsated with a slow, rhythmic movement, as though the entire place was breathing. A faint, wet sound echoed from within, something shifting, dragging, whispering in a language that didn't belong to human tongues. Dimitri was ahead of me, his silhouette barely discernible against the faint, organic glow that oozed from the fleshy walls. The moment I stepped inside, the air changed. It was heavier, thick with moisture, and the sharp, metallic scent of blood. "Anna!" Dimitri's voice was raw with desperation, swallowed almost immediately by the dense air. A chorus of whispers answered him, overlapping. A cacophony of voices speaking in a harmony that sent ice down my spine. They were speaking our names. I turned, my breath hitching. The entrance we had come through was gone. In its place, a fleshy, veined membrane had sealed itself shut. "We're inside it," I whispered. Dimitri didn't seem to hear me. He moved forward, gripping the tire iron like it was a lifeline. I had no choice but to follow. The corridor stretched endlessly, walls twitching as though reacting to our presence. The further we went, the more the whispers turned into something else. Laughter, mocking, hungry. Then we saw them. Rows of cages built into the very flesh of the walls. The bars were not metal but bone, curving inward like ribs to trap the figures inside. Some of them were human, or had been. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, their mouths twisted in expressions of silent screams. Others were different. Limbs that bent the wrong way. Faces stretched into impossible shapes, as if the structure itself had been reshaping them. And then, at the end of the row, was Anna. She was bound in a cage like the others, her skin slick with sweat and her eyes wide with terror. But she wasn't alone. A figure stood beside her, watching us. It was tall, its elongated skull barely fitting within the height of the chamber. Its skin was sickly, translucent, stretched tight over a body that pulsed with unnatural veins. Black pits where its eyes should have been locked onto us with an intelligence I couldn't comprehend. "Welcome," it rasped. Dimitri lunged. The tire iron swung through the air, but the figure didn't flinch. Instead, the moment the metal struck, its flesh absorbed the impact, rippling like the surface of a disturbed lake. Then, without moving its mouth, the thing spoke directly into our heads. "You will not leave unchanged." A force slammed into Dimitri, sending him flying backward into the wall. The living structure absorbed him, tendrils latching onto his limbs, pulling him in. He screamed, but the sound was lost in the wailing chorus of the other captives. Anna was screaming too, fighting against the bonds that held her. My body refused to move, terror rooting me to the spot as the creature turned its empty gaze on me. It stepped closer. The air around it warped, as though reality itself bent to accommodate its presence. I knew, in that moment, that this was not something that belonged to our world. It was older, deeper, a thing that had been waiting for something. For us. The walls trembled. The flesh around us began to pulse faster, as though responding to the entity's emotions. Then I heard Dimitri's voice, raw, in pain, but still fighting. "Get her out," I snapped out of my trance. Without thinking, I lunged toward Anna's cage. The bone bars were slick, almost warm to the touch, but they didn't break under my weight. I grabbed the knife from my pocket, jamming it between the bars, twisting, forcing them apart. The figure made a sound, a deep, guttural resonance that made my skull vibrate. The moment Anna was free, I yanked her out, shoving her toward the only path forward. Dimitri was gone, but we didn't have time to grieve. The structure roared, the living walls closing in. The passage we had entered through had returned, but it was narrowing, the fleshy tunnel constricting like a throat preparing to swallow. We ran. The whispers turned to screams behind us. The thing did not chase us, but I felt its presence pressing against my mind, whispering promises of return, of inevitability. The moment we broke through the membrane, we collapsed onto the cold, dead grass outside. The sky was wrong, too dark, swirling with unnatural colors. But we were alive. Anna sobbed beside me, shaking violently. I turned back. The living structure was no longer there. Only the valley remained, stretching out in eerie silence, as though it had never been disturbed. But I knew better. Dimitri was still in there. And something told me whatever had been waiting in the hollow land was not done with us yet. Anna and I stumbled away from the clearing, the air thick with the smell of decay. Every shadow seemed to move, the whispers of the valley clinging to our minds. The road back was long, but I wasn't sure if we had truly escaped. I could still feel it, lingering just beyond perception, waiting for the moment when we would return, or when it would come for us. The journey back to civilization felt stretched, unreal. The valley never seemed to end, the trees pressing closer, the sky darkening unnaturally. We walked for what felt like days, but the sun never rose, only shifting between eerie twilight and a bruised, starless night. At some point, Anna collapsed. I caught her before she hit the ground, her breathing shallow. Her skin was colder than before, her fingers twitching as if she were trying to grasp something unseen. I shook her gently. "Stay with me." Her eyes fluttered open, but they weren't looking at me. "It's calling us back," she whispered. "It never lets them leave." I swallowed hard, trying to suppress the growing dread. "We're almost out. Just keep moving." But the valley wouldn't let go. The road ahead, once a dirt path leading away from the cursed land, now looped back toward the clearing. The air felt heavier, pressing against my skull, and I could swear I heard Dimitri's voice, faint, distant, pleading. "Help me." Anna jerked upright, her pupils dilated, her breathing ragged. He's still here. I grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to focus. Number, that's not him. It's trying to pull us back. Her expression twisted in pain, but she nodded. We pushed forward, even as the whispers turned into something more. Laughter, low and echoing, as if the valley itself found amusement in our struggle. Then we saw it. A figure stood at the edge of the road. Not Dimitri, not human. It was tall, its body stretching impossibly thin, its face obscured by shifting darkness. Its arms, long and skeletal, twitched as it raised one hand and beckoned. Anna whimpered, gripping my arm tightly. Don't stop. Don't look at it. I didn't. We ran. And this time, the valley let us go. But deep inside, I knew we hadn't truly escaped. Not yet. The hollow land had touched us, marked us, and whatever existed there, it was waiting. We would return, or worse, it would come for us. The world outside the hollow land felt wrong. Civilization should have been a relief. Cars, buildings, neon lights flickering in the dark. But everything felt artificial, like a painted backdrop on a stage where something watched from behind the curtain. Anna and I returned, but not unchanged. We had made it back to the city, yet the sensation of being observed never faded. The shadows stretched too long at night. Reflections lingered half a second too long in mirrors. And worst of all, the whispers never truly stopped. We tried to tell ourselves that Dimitri was gone, that the valley had swallowed him. But deep down, I knew the truth. He wasn't gone. He was waiting, and the hollow land wasn't done with us yet. It started 2 nights after our return. I woke up gasping, my sheets damp with sweat, the echo of a voice still ringing in my ears. At first, I thought it was just another nightmare. But when I turned to my phone, I saw it. The missed call. Dimitri. The number was his. The timestamp read 3:03 a.m. The hollow hour. My breath caught in my throat. My hands trembled as I tapped the screen, pulling up the voicemail. Static, a low hum. Then, beneath it, a voice. Warped, distant, familiar. I see you. The recording ended. I dropped the phone as if it had burned me. My pulse hammered in my ears. It had to be a mistake, a glitch. His number should have been dead. He had no service in the hollow land, no way to call. Anna sat up from the couch in the corner of my apartment, rubbing her eyes. What's wrong? I didn't answer. I just played the voicemail. She listened, her face draining of color. By the time it ended, she was shaking. That's him. No, I said, though I wasn't sure if I was trying to convince her or myself. That's something using his voice. She didn't argue. Instead, she reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. Her fingers moved fast, scrolling through her call log before stopping, going rigid. She held the screen up to me. 3:03 a.m. One missed call. Dimitri. Neither of us spoke of it the next day. We barely spoke at all. The reality of what had happened, what was happening, settled over us like a weight too heavy to lift. But the calls kept coming. Every night, 3:03 a.m. No matter if we turned off our phones, removed the SIM cards. When we powered them back on, the missed call was always there, and the messages grew longer. At first, just static, then breathing, then a whisper. It's not over. By the 5th night, we stopped sleeping. The whispers weren't just in the recordings anymore. They were in the corners of rooms, in the wind, in the spaces between words. Then, on the 7th night, the message changed. Come back. The hollow land wasn't calling us. It was demanding us. And somewhere, in the distance of the forgotten valley, I knew Dimitri was waiting, or what was left of him. We made the decision in silence. There was no dramatic discussion, no moment of hesitation. We both knew, deep down, that we'd never really left. We'd escaped in body, but not in soul. So we packed supplies, flashlights, food, though I doubted we'd need it, a gun, even though I knew it wouldn't matter. The drive was long, but the road seemed shorter than I remembered. The valley was waiting for us, eager to swallow us again. As we neared the edge of the hollow land, my phone buzzed. One new message. Dimitri. I stared at the screen, throat dry. Then, against every rational instinct, I opened it. A single photo. A man standing in the clearing where the structure had been. His back was to the camera. His head tilted at an unnatural angle. But even without seeing his face, I knew. Dimitri was waiting. And this time, we wouldn't be leaving. The road twisted beneath the weight of our tires, the trees pressing in on both sides like a tunnel. The deeper we drove, the quieter the world became. The wind stopped. No crickets, no rustling leaves, just the low hum of the engine and the sound of my own breathing. Anna gripped the wheel tighter, her knuckles pale. Are we really doing this? I glanced at my phone. The screen was black, but the message still burned in my mind. The photo, Dimitri, waiting. I didn't answer her question because we both knew the truth. We had no choice. The hollow land had called us back. It was just past midnight when we reached the valley's edge. The road ended abruptly, fading into the overgrown path we had walked once before. I stepped out of the car, feeling the weight of the air press against me. Something had changed since we were last here. The hollow land was no longer pretending to be just a place. Anna stood beside me, silent. She had her camera strapped around her neck, though I doubted anything it captured would make sense once we left this world behind. The valley was like a wound, something deep and raw, something festering in the earth where it shouldn't be. Then, far ahead through the darkness, something flickered, light, a single swaying lantern, barely visible through the shifting trees. Someone's there, Anna whispered. I swallowed hard, or something. But we both moved forward, deeper into the blackened woods. The moment we stepped past the tree line, I felt it again, that twisting sensation, as if reality had bent itself around us. The air turned thick, humid with something that smelled like rot and metal. The light moved ahead of us, leading the way. We followed. Every step felt wrong. My muscles resisted, my skin crawled, but my feet kept moving forward. The valley was leading us, just as it had before. Then I saw them. The trees weren't trees anymore. Their trunks twisted into something almost human. Elongated shapes with hollowed-out faces, their mouths stretched open in silent screams. The bark peeled like skin, revealing something wet underneath. Eyes, black and sunken, blinked from deep inside the knots of wood. I turned to Anna, but she had seen them too. Her breath came in sharp, uneven gasps. "What the hell is this?" she whispered. Before I could answer, a voice drifted through the trees. "Keep moving." It came from nowhere, from everywhere. Anna grabbed my arm. That was, I know, Dimitri's voice, but not his voice. Stretched, hollow, like something was using it, trying to remember how human speech worked. I looked at the lantern again. It had stopped moving, and then it went out. The darkness swallowed us whole. A thick, smothering void. I reached for Anna, but my fingers grasped only empty air. Then the whispers began. They slid under my skin, curling around my thoughts, each one layering over the last, until I couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. "You left me. It's your fault. Come back." A shape emerged from the dark. I couldn't see its face. Not yet, but I knew. I took a step back. Dimitri? The figure twitched, its arms hanging too loose at its sides. It moved, but not like a person, more like a marionette, pulled forward by something unseen. I heard Anna's sharp breath behind me. That's not him. The figure stopped. Slowly, its head lifted, and finally, I saw what had become of my friend. His face was still his, but it wasn't. The skin was pale, stretched too tight over his skull, his mouth curled into a fixed grin. His eyes, they were gone. In their place, only black, endless voids that swirled with something I couldn't comprehend. You shouldn't have left. His voice came from inside my head. Anna screamed. Dimitri moved. The moment his fingers stretched toward me, the valley twisted again, reality pulling apart at the seams. The ground lurched beneath me. The air vibrated with a deep guttural hum. And then the world snapped back into focus. We were no longer in the forest. We were standing before the structure. It was back. Only this time, it was bigger. It loomed in the dark, its red, pulsing eye staring down at us from the highest point. The walls breathed in and out, shifting like muscle, the black veins running along its surface throbbing with something alive. Dimitri stood between us and the entrance, his head tilted, watching, waiting. And from inside the structure, something else moved. The hollow land had us again, and this time it wasn't going to let us leave. The structure loomed before us, breathing, watching. Its pulsing red eye swirled like liquid fire, gazing down from the highest point. The walls, if they could be called that, shifted and twitched, black veins bulging like something alive beneath diseased flesh. Dimitri stood in front of it, his grin locked in place, his eyes nothing but darkened voids. He tilted his head, listening, waiting. Anna grabbed my arm. We can't go in there. We don't have a choice. Behind us, the trees groaned, their hollow faces stretching open in silent screams. The path we had come from had collapsed into darkness. There was no way back. The hollow land had funneled us toward the only direction it wanted us to go, forward. We stepped through the entrance. The moment we crossed the threshold, reality buckled. The air thickened. My ears popped. The world outside vanished, swallowed by a red haze that moved like liquid. The interior was unlike anything I had ever seen. It was vast, too vast for the outside dimensions of the structure. The space stretched in impossible ways, folding and twisting, walls curving like flesh rather than stone. The floor pulsed beneath our feet, warm and damp, a rhythmic heartbeat drumming beneath us. And then the whispers began again, not from the walls, from inside our heads. You are home. You belong here. Dimitri walked ahead without hesitation, his steps eerily smooth, like he was being guided. He turned his head slightly, as if sensing our fear. You left me, but the hollow land is forgiving. His voice no longer sounded human. We had no choice but to follow. The deeper we went, the less the rules of the world seemed to apply. Corridors twisted in on themselves, looping impossibly. Doorways led to places they shouldn't. We walked down one set of stairs, only to find ourselves emerging from a ceiling, stepping back onto the same path we had just left. And all the while, the whispers grew louder. We turned a corner, and suddenly, we were not alone. Rows of figures lined the corridor, dozens, maybe hundreds. They stood perfectly still, facing the walls, their backs to us. Their skin was pale, stretched too tight, their fingers elongated, twitching. Some had multiple arms fused into their torsos. Others weren't human at all. Anna let out a strangled gasp. They're alive. Dmitri finally turned to face us. His expression never changed, but his voided eyes grew darker, deeper. They are waiting. And then they all turned. We ran. The figures, the things that had once been human, jerked toward us, their movements unnatural, as if they were learning how to move for the first time. Their heads snapped at impossible angles. Their fingers stretched and twitched as they reached out. And then they spoke. "You shouldn't be here." The words came from all of them at once. A chorus of broken voices, some too deep, others whisper thin like radio static. Anna grabbed my hand. "We need to move now." We sprinted down the corridor, our footsteps muffled by the pulsing floor beneath us. The walls trembled as if laughing. The air thickened, slowing us down, making every step harder. Dmitri didn't run. He simply watched. His expression never wavered. But as we fled, I caught a glimpse of something behind him. Something bigger. Something that had been waiting in the dark. We burst into a massive open space, the walls curving around us like a rib cage. And at the center of it all, the eye. The same red swirling mass we had seen outside, now fully exposed, gargantuan, pulsing, alive. It wasn't attached to anything. It was the room, and it was awake. It blinked, slow and deliberate, focusing its gaze directly on us. And then it spoke, not in words, but in thought. "You have returned." The weight of the voice nearly crushed me. Anna fell to her knees, gasping. "Make it stop." I turned to Dmitri. He stood just beyond the threshold of the chamber, arms at his sides, watching us with his empty eyes. "It's time to see." Then the wall split open, and everything we knew was rewritten. The world around us split open. The walls of the chamber peeled apart like flesh, revealing a vast and endless void beyond. The red eye pulsing at the center of the structure grew wider, swallowing everything in its gaze. I felt it looking through me, past my body, past my mind, into something deeper. Anna was screaming. I think I was too. Dmitri stood before the eye, motionless, not resisting, not afraid, just waiting. Then the world shifted again, and we were falling. I don't remember hitting the ground. I only remember waking up in the dark. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something sour, rotting. My body ached, as if I had been dropped from a great height, though there was no sign of where I had fallen from. Anna lay next to me, unconscious, her fingers twitching in some unseen dream. I reached out to shake her awake, and the ground breathed beneath us. My body recoiled as I realized we were lying on something alive. I scrambled to my feet, my breath ragged. The ground beneath us was not stone, nor dirt, but something soft and pulsing. It stretched into an endless horizon, illuminated only by the faint, reddish glow of veins running through it. Anna stirred, her eyelids flickering. She bolted upright the moment her skin touched the surface beneath us. Where are we? I swallowed hard, glancing around. Not in the structure anymore, or at least not in the same part of it. Ahead of us, the horizon stretched into forever. The air was thick with whispers, voices that spoke in tongues I couldn't comprehend. The sky above was not a sky at all, but a ceiling made of shifting flesh. And then, something moved in the distance. A figure, twisted, crawling on too many limbs. It was watching us. Then another, and another. We were not alone. The creatures didn't move at first. They just watched, their empty sockets and stretched faces void of any recognition. Their forms were human-like, but wrong. Some had extra limbs. Others were fused together, sharing rib cages and torsos, their mouths whispering in sync. Anna grabbed my wrist. Are they people? I couldn't answer, because deep down, I knew the truth. These were the ones who never left. They were the ones who had entered the hollow land before us, and they had been changed. One of them took a step forward. Its limbs cracked like dried leather. It opened its mouth, but no words came, only the sound of wind rushing through hollow bones. Then it spoke inside my head. You see it now. The voice didn't belong to it. It belonged to the hollow land itself. Anna shuddered. What do we do? I didn't know, because even as I turned to run, I realized something terrible. There was nowhere to go. The hollow land was endless, and it was consuming us. We ran anyway. The ground shifted beneath us, fleshy and unstable, but I forced my legs to move. Anna was right beside me, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The creatures didn't chase us, but they didn't need to. The land itself was working against us, pulling us deeper, reshaping the space around us. The whispers grew louder, laughter, mocking, hungry. And then, a doorway appeared in front of us, a real, solid, wooden door. It was completely out of place, standing upright in the middle of the shifting landscape. Anna and I skidded to a stop, staring at it in disbelief. This doesn't make sense, she whispered. Nothing here does, I replied. We didn't hesitate. I grabbed the handle and yanked the door open, and we fell through. We hit solid ground hard, cold, hard stone. I gasped, blinking against the sudden darkness. We were in a room, a real room. No more pulsing flesh, no endless landscapes, just walls. Anna coughed, rolling onto her side. Did we make it out? Then a voice answered her. You never left. The room lit up in red. I turned, and the eye was there. Bigger than before, so much bigger. It filled the entire wall, its surface undulating, shifting, swirling with colors that shouldn't exist. Dimitri stood beneath it. He was smiling. But now, I saw what he had become. His body had changed. His limbs were elongated, his skin stretched too tight, his eyes replaced by smaller, swirling versions of the red abyss behind him. And then he spoke. You see it now. You understand. This place isn't a trap. His voice was layered, 100 voices speaking through him at once. It's a door. The walls around us began to split apart, revealing countless other eyes blinking into existence, watching. Anna grabbed my arm. We need to get out of here. But there was no way out, because now I saw the truth. The hollow land wasn't just a place, it was alive, and we were already a part of it. The walls peeled back like wet paper. The countless red eyes blinking into existence stared without blinking, watching, judging. Anna gripped my arm tightly, her nails digging into my skin as we stepped backward, slowly, unsure if running would even matter. Dimitri raised his arms. His voice was soft, resonant. It's beautiful, isn't it? The birth of true sight. The walls moaned, not metaphorically. The structure itself emitted a long, low groan, like the earth crying out in pain. I pulled Anna behind me. We have to move, now. But there was nowhere to go, only forward, into the eye. It blinked once, slowly. Then the floor beneath us gave way again. We fell into a tunnel of writhing flesh and shadow, spiraling downward into what felt like the marrow of the world. Anna screamed as we tumbled, caught in a gravity that didn't feel like gravity at all. Colors surged across the tunnel walls. shifting geometric patterns, biological fractals, things that made my brain ache to look at. We hit ground, hard, and everything went black. When I opened my eyes, the world was quiet. Too quiet. We were in a long corridor that seemed to extend forever in both directions. The floor was smooth obsidian. The ceiling above a pulsing, translucent membrane, like we were inside a creature and beneath its skin. Anna knelt beside me, breathing hard. Her eyes were wide and blank. "I don't think we're in the Hollow Land anymore," she whispered. She was wrong. We were deeper. The whispers were louder now. They didn't seem to come from outside anymore. They felt like thoughts I hadn't thought yet. We started walking. The corridor gave no sense of direction, no turns, no end, only endless dark walls and that membrane above us, veins glowing faintly with red light. Then the air changed, grew cold. That's when we saw it. There was a table, sitting in the center of the corridor, completely incongruous, ornate, old, covered in symbols that shimmered like oil on water. On it rested a book, no cover, no title, bound in something that looked like pale leather stretched too tight. Anna approached it first. As she opened it, the air changed. The ceiling above us contracted and expanded, like a giant lung inhaling. "It's not written in any language I know," she said. But I could read it. The moment my eyes met the first page, understanding flooded my mind like a parasite squirming into a host. It wasn't a book. It was a map, a manual, a warning. And on the last page, a single line in a language I had never seen before, but somehow knew exactly what it said. "You are already inside." The wall shivered, the eyes returned, and so did Dmitri. He didn't speak at first. He just watched. His body no longer seemed bound to any human logic. His joints moved backward, his skin shimmered with iridescent undertones. Anna whispered, "He's not wearing a mask, is he?" I shook my head. Whatever Dmitri had become, that was his true form now. Then he spoke, and the walls listened. He emerged from the far end of the corridor, his feet not touching the ground. Behind him, the walls curled inward, like the space was folding around him to make room. "You shouldn't have opened the book," he said. His voice was everywhere. Above us, behind us, inside us. Anna fell to her knees, clutching her head. "Get out of my mind." Dmitri floated closer. "You saw the truth. Now you are part of it." The symbols on the book lifted off the pages, floating through the air like burning ash, curling around Anna and me like tendrils. The corridor pulsed, a throb of pain or anticipation. I couldn't tell which. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. Dmitri tilted his head. His smile never wavered. "The Hollow Land isn't a punishment. It's an awakening. You were chosen to see." The membrane above us cracked. A red light poured in. Then, screams. The corridor beyond Dmitri opened like a maw, and from it poured the Forgotten Ones. The creatures we had seen earlier, crawling, twitching, fusing together into impossible shapes. I grabbed Anna's hand. We ran. But this time, the corridor shifted. The walls turned liquid, then solid, then liquid again. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur and ozone. Time didn't feel real here anymore. Ahead of us was another door. Metallic, rusted, a symbol etched into its surface. A perfect match to the final page of the book. I pushed it open. The red light grew brighter. And then we saw it. A chamber the size of a city, suspended in void. In its center floated a being larger than any creature I had ever imagined. A body made of tendrils and eyes, mouths and memories, and at its core, a human face. Anna whispered, barely audible, "Is that me?" The face opened its eyes and smiled. The tendrils pulsed and coiled, forming shapes that defied geometry. One of them reached out, not to attack, but to beckon. A voice, Anna's own, echoed from the creature's mouth. "You are the seed." My heart stopped. "What does that mean?" I asked. The being didn't answer. It didn't need to. Because now, I understood. Anna was the key. And she wasn't just part of the Hollow Land. She was becoming it. Have Anna and I just glimpsed our future? Or is the Hollow Land rewriting reality in real time? What would you do if you saw your own face at the center of an alien god? Drop your wildest theories in the comments. Let's decode the Hollow Land together. Chapter 6 will enter the heart of the Hollow, and not everyone will survive. Subscribe and turn on notifications to see what's behind the final door.